Ladies and gentlemen, when we kneel in prayer, asking God for His guidance, provision, or blessings, we often anticipate an immediate answer, an instant unfolding of our desires. Yet the truth, though challenging to accept, is that God does not simply hand us what we ask for, He prepares us to receive it. When a farmer plants a seed, the harvest does not sprout overnight. The soil must be tilled, watered, and nurtured. In the same way, when you present your desires to God, He begins the work not merely in the circumstances around you, but most importantly, within you. When we offer our prayers to God, we are not simply asking for an outcome. We are entering into a divine dialogue that invites transformation. Prayer is not a transaction where we submit a request and immediately receive a result. Rather, it is the beginning of a process through which God aligns our desires with His will and prepares us to receive His blessings. This preparation is not always obvious to us because we are often more focused on the end result than the journey it takes to get there. Yet it is in this journey where the most profound work occurs. Imagine praying for wisdom, courage, or success. These are not items that can simply be handed over like objects on a shelf. They require development, maturity, and readiness. God, in His infinite wisdom, begins to shape your character, refine your abilities, and deepen your understanding, so that when the answers to your prayers arrive, you are capable of stewarding them well. For example, someone praying for strength might face challenges that seem overwhelming at first, only to discover that these trials were precisely the means through which God built the resilience they sought. This process is not passive, it calls for your active participation. Praying for God to prepare you means being willing to endure moments of waiting, uncertainty, and even discomfort. These are not signs of neglect, but of a God who is carefully shaping you. Much like a potter working clay, He may press, mold, and reshape you in ways that feel uncomfortable, but all of it is for the sake of crafting a vessel ready for its purpose. Preparation involves a transformation of perspective. In the act of prayer, we are often focused on what we desire, but as God prepares us, He gently shifts our focus, helping us see that what we truly need is not always what we initially asked for. He aligns our hearts with His higher purposes, teaching us to trust in His wisdom rather than our limited understanding. In this process, God's intention is not merely to fulfill your prayer, but to draw you closer to Him. The preparation becomes an opportunity for growth, learning and deepening your relationship with the One who knows you better than you know yourself. As you submit to this divine preparation, you begin to realize that the journey is just as valuable as the destination, and the person you become through the process is part of the blessing itself. God's timing is an intricate and perfect aspect of His divine plan, yet it often feels at odds with our expectations. When we pray, we hope for immediate results, yearning for answers that align with our own schedules and desires. However, God operates outside the bounds of human time, orchestrating events in ways that serve His greater purpose rather than our immediate comfort. This disparity can be challenging to navigate, but it is rooted in His infinite wisdom and love for us. Imagine a child asking for a responsibility or privilege they are not yet mature enough to handle. A loving parent does not withhold out of cruelty but waits until the child has grown, ensuring they can bear the responsibility wisely and safely. Similarly, God does not delay out of neglect but out of an understanding that surpasses our own. His timing ensures that the blessings He provides will come at the exact moment when we are prepared to receive and steward them. Delays in answered prayers often feel like silence, but in truth, they are seasons of preparation. During these periods, God is working behind the scenes, aligning circumstances, refining our hearts, and weaving together elements we cannot yet see. These delays serve a dual purpose. They prepare the external circumstances for the fulfillment of the prayer and prepare us internally to receive it with gratitude and wisdom. If blessings were given prematurely, we might squander them or fail to recognize their true value. Patience is an essential virtue cultivated during this process. Waiting teaches us to rely not on our own understanding but on God's promises and faithfulness. It humbles us, reminding us that life is not entirely within our control, and it invites us to surrender our timelines to the Creator of time itself. Trusting in God's timing requires faith, a confident assurance that He sees the bigger picture and is working all things together for good, even when we cannot comprehend how. There is also a profound spiritual truth embedded in waiting. It fosters intimacy with God. In our periods of longing and uncertainty, we are drawn closer to Him, seeking His presence and guidance more fervently. This deepened relationship becomes a blessing in itself, often surpassing the initial desire of our prayer. When God finally answers, his timing becomes a testament to his faithfulness and wisdom. We see that the waiting was not wasted but was a necessary part of his perfect plan, a plan that brings not only the fulfillment of our requests but also transformation, growth, and a renewed sense of trust in his divine orchestration. When challenges arise in our lives, they often feel like barriers to our prayers being answered. We may wonder why, if God truly hears us, we are met with difficulties rather than ease. Yet it is important to understand that challenges are not obstacles, they are tools of preparation. They serve a purpose far greater than we can often see in the moment, shaping us into individuals capable of handling the blessings we seek. Imagine praying for strength, patience, or wisdom. These qualities are not bestowed like a gift but are forged through experiences that require their use. A person praying for strength may encounter struggles that test their endurance, allowing them to grow stronger with each passing challenge. Someone asking for patience may find themselves in situations that stretch their ability to wait, teaching them to trust in God's timing rather than their own impulses. These trials are not punishments but divine training grounds where growth occurs. Challenges also refine our character. They reveal areas of weakness, pride, or reliance on worldly comforts that may hinder us from fully embracing the blessings we are praying for. Through trials, God lovingly strips away these hindrances, leaving behind a heart that is more aligned with his will. This refining process, while often painful, is essential. Just as gold is purified in the fire to remove impurities, our lives are refined through adversity to reveal the strength and beauty God intends for us. Challenges teach us dependence on God. When everything is easy, we may be tempted to rely on our own abilities or take God's blessings for granted. But in the face of difficulties, we are reminded of our limitations and our need for his guidance and provision. This dependence fosters humility, faith, and a deeper relationship with him, as we learn to trust that he is with us in every struggle. Another profound aspect of challenges is the perspective they provide. They teach us to value the blessings we seek and not take them lightly. When we have struggled and overcome, we develop gratitude and a greater appreciation for the answers to our prayers. The challenges also equip us with compassion and wisdom, enabling us to encourage and support others who face similar trials. In hindsight, the challenges that once seemed overwhelming often reveal themselves as necessary steps in God's greater plan. They prepare us not only to receive his blessings but also to grow into the people he has called us to be, fully equipped to fulfill his purpose for our lives. When we pray, we often envision the fulfillment of our requests as the ultimate goal. However, God sees beyond the request itself and focuses on preparing us to sustain and steward the blessings we seek. This preparation often involves building patience and shaping our character, processes that are neither immediate nor easy, but are vital for long-lasting spiritual and personal growth. Patience is a cornerstone of this preparation. It is not simply waiting, but waiting with trust and faith in God's timing and plan. Developing patience requires us to endure delays, setbacks, and moments of uncertainty without losing hope. This process can feel frustrating, especially in a world that values instant gratification. Yet God uses these moments to teach us that his ways are higher than ours, and that his timing is perfect. Patience reminds us to lean not on our understanding but on his infinite wisdom. This waiting period is not idle, it is active and transformative. As we learn to be patient, God also works to shape our character. He uses the seasons of waiting to teach us resilience, humility, and self-control. These virtues are not only essential for handling the blessings we ask for, but also for living a life that reflects his love and purpose. For example, someone praying for a leadership opportunity may first need to learn the value of serving others selflessly. Someone asking for abundance may need to develop the discipline and gratitude to manage resources wisely. God's work in building character often involves facing situations that test our limits. These challenges may feel uncomfortable or even painful, but they serve a greater purpose. They reveal areas of weakness or immaturity that need refining. Through these experiences, God molds us into individuals who can handle the weight of his blessings responsibly and with integrity. In addition, the process of building patience and character deepens our relationship with God. As we learn to trust him in the waiting, we grow closer to him, relying on his strength rather than our own. This intimacy transforms our prayers from mere requests to conversations that align our desires with his will. We begin to see that the journey is not just about receiving what we asked for, but about becoming who God created us to be. When the blessings finally arrive, we are not only ready to receive them, but also to use them in ways that glorify God and bless others. The patience and character built during the preparation season become lifelong tools, equipping us to navigate life with faith, wisdom, and grace. Faith is often tested in the unseen and the unknown. When we pray and see no immediate evidence of an answer, it can be challenging to trust that God is working. Yet this is precisely where true faith is cultivated, not in the certainty of visible outcomes, but in the confident assurance that God is moving in ways we cannot perceive. Faith in the process is about trusting that God's plan is unfolding, even when the path ahead feels unclear. In our human nature, we tend to equate God's silence with inactivity. We expect tangible signs, immediate results, or at least some indication that our prayers are being heard. However, God operates in ways that transcend our understanding. His work often begins beneath the surface, in the depths of our hearts and circumstances, where the changes necessary for His will take place. Just as seeds sprout roots before breaking through the soil, God's preparation is often invisible but no less real. Faith in the process also requires surrender. When we pray, we must be willing to release control over how and when our prayers will be answered. This surrender is not a sign of passivity or resignation, but of profound trust. It acknowledges that God knows what is best for us, even when we do not. By releasing our grip on the outcome, we allow God to work freely, aligning our desires with His perfect will. Waiting with faith often feels like a test, but it is also an invitation. It invites us to draw closer to God, to seek Him not just for answers but for His presence. The waiting season becomes a time of deepened relationship, where we learn to rely on His promises and character rather than our own understanding. This reliance fosters spiritual maturity, teaching us that God's faithfulness is not dependent on our ability to see it, but on His unchanging nature. The beauty of faith in the unseen is that it transforms how we perceive delays or obstacles. Instead of viewing them as barriers, we begin to see them as part of the preparation. Faith allows us to trust that every detour, every moment of waiting, and every unanswered question is contributing to something far greater than we can imagine. It shifts our focus from frustration to anticipation, knowing that God's timing is never early or late, but always perfect. Faith in the process builds a foundation of hope and perseverance. It enables us to walk forward with confidence, trusting that even in the silence, God is at work, crafting a story that is more beautiful and complete than we could ever envision on our own. When we pray, our focus is fixed on the destination, the outcome we desire. We envision the fulfillment of our prayers as the end goal, something that will bring us joy, peace, or resolution. While God certainly hears and responds to these prayers, His approach to answering them often shifts the emphasis from the destination to the transformation required to get there. The journey we take before receiving an answer is not an afterthought. It is an integral part of God's divine plan. This transformation begins the moment we invite God into our desires through prayer. As we seek His guidance, He begins to work, not just on the circumstances around us, but on us. God's aim is not merely to give us what we ask for, but to prepare us to receive it in a way that will glorify Him and sustain us. This preparation process can be challenging, as it often involves confronting areas of weakness, unlearning harmful patterns, and developing new virtues. Through this journey, God molds our character, shaping us into individuals who can handle the weight of His blessings. For example, someone praying for financial stability may first need to learn discipline and stewardship. Someone asking for relational healing may need to develop humility and forgiveness. These are not obstacles, but vital steps in the process of transformation. God is less concerned with delivering quick solutions and more invested in ensuring that the answer to our prayers contributes to lasting growth and fulfillment. The journey also teaches us to rely on God's strength rather than our own. In the waiting and the struggle, we are reminded of our limitations and drawn into deeper dependence on Him. This reliance fosters spiritual intimacy as we seek His presence and learn to trust His timing and wisdom. Each step along the way becomes an opportunity to strengthen our faith and deepen our relationship with Him. Transformation also prepares us to use God's blessings for His purposes, not just our own. As we are refined through the journey, our desires begin to align with His will. We come to understand that the blessings we seek are not only for our benefit, but are meant to impact others and glorify God. This shift in perspective changes how we view the destination. It becomes less about personal gain and more about fulfilling God's greater plan. The journey of transformation is as important as the destination itself. By the time we reach the fulfillment of our prayers, we are not the same people who began the journey. We are stronger, wiser, and more aligned with God's purposes, ready to receive and steward His blessings with gratitude and grace. When we pray, it is often with a specific need or desire in mind, a resolution to a problem, the fulfillment of a longing, or the guidance we seek for a decision. While these requests are deeply personal, they are not isolated from the larger context of God's divine plan. One of the profound truths about prayer is that God's answers are rarely confined to our immediate desires. Instead, they are woven into a greater purpose that extends far beyond our understanding, impacting not only our lives but the lives of others and the unfolding of His eternal will. God's plans operate on a level that transcends individual moments or circumstances. While we see our needs through the lens of the present, God sees them within the grand narrative of His creation. This perspective means that His answers to our prayers are often timed and tailored not just for our benefit, but for the benefit of others and the advancement of His kingdom. For example, when someone prays for guidance in their career, God may not only direct their path but also position them in a role where their work impacts many lives, bringing His light into places where it is needed. This higher purpose can also mean that the journey toward answered prayer is longer or more complex than we anticipate. Sometimes God delays an answer not to withhold but to align multiple elements of His plan. A relationship we pray for might not be restored immediately because God is working on the hearts of both individuals, preparing them for reconciliation that is lasting and meaningful. A blessing we seek may come after a season of preparation that equips us to use it in ways that bless others and glorify God. Understanding this greater purpose requires a shift in perspective. We must move beyond viewing our prayers as isolated requests and instead see them as part of a larger tapestry. This shift fosters humility and trust as we recognize that God's ways are higher than ours. It also deepens our faith as we begin to trust that even the unanswered or delayed prayers are contributing to a purpose far greater than we can imagine. When the answers do come, they often reveal the interconnectedness of God's work. We may find that the blessing we receive becomes a source of inspiration, encouragement, or provision for others. Our answered prayers become testimonies of God's faithfulness, drawing others to Him and advancing His purposes in ways we never anticipated. In the end, God's answers to our prayers are never just about us. They are about His glory, His kingdom, and His desire to work through us to bring light, hope, and love into the world. By aligning our hearts with His higher purposes, we become participants in a story far greater than our own, finding joy and fulfillment in His perfect plan.